You're welcome once again to Dwell Research Blog. Today we'll be discussing women in politics and gender equality in Nigeria, of course, in Africa. Don't forget to subscribe to Dwell Research Blog on YouTube. You can follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, TikTok, as well as on Instagram. Women over the years have been, or women participation in politics in Nigeria and Africa over the years has been nothing short of very, very poor. You see, and it paints a very ugly picture about how women are treated in Africa, especially when it comes to politics. Today we'll be looking at just some factors that has affected women's participation in politics. What are the factors that have limited women's playing active role in politics and clinching top jobs in politics as far as Nigeria and African state is concerned? But before then, let's just look at, as of January 10, 2024, there are 26 countries where 28 women serve as heads of state and of government. At the current rate, gender equality in the highest position of power will not be reached for another 130 years. And that's because Africa's participation, women in Africa's participation is still very, very low. Just 15 countries, of all the countries in the world, have women heads of state, and 16 countries have a woman head of government. First time compiled data by the United Nations Women show that women represent 22.8% of cabinet members heading ministries, leading the policy area as of 1st January 2023. There are only 13 countries in which women hold 50% or more of the position of cabinet ministers leading policy areas. The 5 most commonly held portfolios by women cabinet ministers are women and gender equality, followed by family and children affairs, social inclusion and development, social protection, social security, and indigenous and minority affairs. You see, in Nigeria, the only government that's had it so well with women participation, especially since 1999, when Nigeria returned to democracy, has been the government of President Obasanjo and Goodluck Jonathan. Under Yaradua, under President Buhari, the record has been very, very low. What has accounted for this? Especially in some states in Nigeria, women cannot even contemplate of contesting for the position of governorship. In some states in Nigeria, women, they are not even represented in the State House of Assembly, especially in the northern part of Nigeria. In Africa, you have very low number of women in the parliament, women holding important positions as ministers, even in Nigeria. This is really, really not good for the women and for gender equality as far as the African state is concerned. Now, what are those 2 factors responsible for this low participation of women in politics? One is religion. In some parts of Africa, it's almost a taboo for a woman to speak in church. Talk more of a woman contesting the election and leading men. We've had issues in the House of Assembly when we're supposed to have the first female Speaker of the House of Representatives. And then we saw all of the issues that happened at that time. She was accused of corruption. Some members of the House, coming up to say, we cannot have a woman lead us. Now, all of these is tied around religion. This, you know, some believe that it's almost a taboo for a woman to lead them. And they forget that even Indonesia, that have the highest number of Muslims in the world, was we had a woman prime minister. But in Nigeria, that cannot happen. Over the years, since 1999, the number of women who have even picked up the forms to contest for elections don't even have women voting for them. That tells you that religion plays very, key role in limiting the women participation in politics. Now, another factor that's really affected women's participation in politics is culture and tradition. You see, you say women, the culture says, some culture says the role of the woman or the position of the woman is in the kitchen. Her job is just to give birth to babies and cook for the family. But this is the 21st century. I don't think there's a need for us to continue in that line of thought. Women have, should have the same right as every other person in the society. The fact that she cooks doesn't limit the fact that the women have the intellectual capacity to manage a state. Because over the years, we've seen Africa from 1960 to today. What is the level of development? Aside from Johnson Sirleaf in Liberia, we've not had any woman, and of course Joy Banda in Malawi, and then we have in Tanzania. But I think this is just a fraction of what we have. We should have more and more women. And one factor that's really limited women in this regard is customs and tradition. I think some of those traditions, I am an advocate of tradition, but it shouldn't limit the right of the woman in terms of leadership. Because there are a lot of women out there who are real agents of development and change. So I think we should do something about the culture and tradition that limits women from coming out to take part in the elections and the political process. And then we have another factor that's really limited women participation in politics in Africa and Nigeria is the low turnout of women during the election. We've seen times that number. If you go to most election polling units, you find out that you have more of men deciding what happens at the polling unit. Lots of women are not even permitted, some for religious reasons or for ethnic or whatever reasons. You find more of men at the polling units, so you find women participation in politics is abysmally low compared to the men. Okay, and especially during elections, you find more men coming out to vote. The women just stay back at home and say, let the men do their thing, and that has not really helped the women. I think there's a need to have laws put in place specifically to uphold the rights of women, especially as it relates to politics. Okay, for example, the Nigerian parliament, I think they should have specific sections of the electoral law or the constitution that mandates that certain number of women should be in parliament to allow for equality as far as gender equality is concerned. That way, that will really encourage more and more women to come out, participate in politics, and make their contribution. Because if the woman can manage the home, why can't she manage the country? Why can't she manage the constituency? Why can't she manage, the state? I think it's about time we gave women the chance to bring to bear what they have, their level of intellectual capacity in bringing the desired change we need, not just in Nigeria, but as Africa as a whole. Don't forget to subscribe to Drill Research Blog and give us your view about women participation in politics. Reach us on the number you can see on your screen. You can send us an email, send us a message. We'd like to hear back from you. And until we come your way again, don't forget to follow us on all of the platforms. Thank you.